Welcome to the preview on Fulhamish, brought to you by My Kind of Cruise. Looking forward to our trip to Tottenham Hotspur on Saturday night. Fulham come into this one after a huge win on Saturday against Sunderland. Honestly, I think the 1-0 scoreline massively flattered the visitors, and on another day it would have been 3-0. Fulham looked totally competent and in control. We'll come onto the lineup later, but I think that was a massive factor in our dominance. Aside from that, it really clicked on Saturday. Not only did we totally shut Sunderland out, but we created lots of high-quality chances. Sure, Raul Jimenez might have looked tired, but he managed to make one of those good chances count. The mentality boost is huge heading into this game, especially considering Spurs' recent wobbles. In fact, in the home league table, Spurs sit second bottom with only 5 points picked up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. In terms of squad then, Fulham come into this game with good health and no new injuries, and only Rodrigo Muniz and Anthony Robinson out. I say only, of course, as if they aren't huge absentees and very important players, but they were to be expected. Sasha Lukic returns to contention after his suspension last week. The big question coming into the lineup is about the midfield duo, really. Sasha Lukic alongside Sander Berge really stifled us at Everton, and we looked so much freer against Sunderland with Berge alongside Iwobi. But this is a tough away game against a Big Six side, so maybe we should be reverting to that more defensive double pivot. I don't know though, I'm not convinced. It is hard to overstate how little we created at Everton, and I'm struggling to think of a time that we suffocated our way to a 0-0 under Marco Silva. We're really just not set up for that. We need to be on the front foot from the off to avoid a scenario where we concede a freak goal around half-time, change things too late and have to come up against a Thomas Frank team sitting in. We need to capitalise on how much pressure Frank is under. For me, the double pivot has to have Iwobi in it, and I'd put him alongside Sasha Lukic. The rest of the team really picks itself in my opinion. You can't change a defence that's just kept a clean sheet. And also, it will be nice to see Sessegnon return to Spurs. King sits in the number 10 position for me, obviously, and the only change I'd make to the lineup in the front positions is putting Chukwueze in from the off. He's been so impressive in his cameos off the bench. He totally changed a game where we were already quite dominant against Sunderland into one where we were walking all over them. And for me, I think he's done enough now to earn that start. With the win last weekend, the pressure is now off Fulham for this one, which hopefully means we'll be able to play with a little bit more freedom. And with Frank under so much pressure already at Spurs, it feels like the perfect recipe for just a little bit of an upset. The preview on Fulhamish is brought to you by My Kind of Cruise, the world's first cruise booking app and website. Whether you're a seasoned voyager or you're embarking on a different kind of away day for the very first time, My Kind of Cruise has got you covered. With unbeatable prices and all the options under the sun that you can think of. From ice fishing like Rodrigo Muniz to tours around the Mediterranean and Caribbean. My Kind of Cruise is founded by a fellow Fulham fan, and Fulhamish listeners can get an exclusive discount at checkout with the code Fulhamish. Just head to mykindofcruise.com or download the app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. Jack, thank you so much for joining me. Jack from the Upshot, a big Spurs fan, the most important Jack. Thank you so much for coming on the preview.
No worries, thanks for having me. Yes, the most important Jack at the Upshot. There's another one, but he's not nearly as important.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We'll start by talking about Spurs' form this season. Obviously, enough games under the belt at the moment to really have a picture, I think, now. An interesting disparity between home and away form, and also sort of an interesting start to the season, some incredible highs, some incredible lows. How is it feeling in the Spurs camp at the moment as a fan?
I'm feeling fairly worried, I would say. No, sorry, you're not worried. Long term, I'm happy. I feel like Frank is a real project manager. He's maybe a bit of a Pochettino kind of situation. Slow burn, but I think like having won in a while in the league, the PSG game was a great watch. Lots of goals for the neutral. But yeah, obviously the Arsenal defeat hurt a lot. But I think we're slowly becoming sort of Brentford. That's what I watch at home. For Brentford, they didn't play the same. Obviously, they played differently from away from home, and they would away from him, they'd sit back and they wouldn't concede, and they'd often grab a first goal, and then Thomas Frank can play the way he wants to play, but he can only play the way he wants to play if he's a goal up. And Spurs did that in the first few games of the season. I feel like got ahead and then just saw it out. With Ange, there was a lot of like you'd get into the right positions, and then no one looked like they knew what they were going to do, and there was never any like threat. It just felt like we were in the final third. All the team was there, but nothing's going to happen. You never get that feeling a goal's about to come. Like, you never get it. Sometimes they counter and it happens, but you never get that feeling that we're going to break them down. You're like, oh, there's a goal coming here in a minute. It's just not how it wasn't how it felt with Ange, and it's not how it feels with Frank now. Feel a bit more dangerous, maybe.
Yeah, it kind of tallies with what I've seen of Spurs this season and what I saw of Brentford under Frank a few seasons ago, of being like strong on the counter, strong when you're expected not to be performing, and being able to be quite physical and defensively solid, and spring a surprise goal or two, but not being able to play pretty football with superior players, which in Spurs' financial position is arguably
should be the case.
Yeah, what Spurs have.
There's a few donkeys knocking around the Spurs team, in my opinion. But nice to see Richarlison get a goal or two recently. But for a while there, I was worried about him. What game was it? Was it Newcastle? He came on, he missed 3 chances, and and then he took the penalty off Mikey Moore and he missed it, and it was that was Newcastle. That was in a it was disastrous. It was disastrous. Anyway, worried about that man for a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously he had that absolutely incredible goal in the North London derby, but we were chatting before we came on mic about Spurs' attacking threats, and it seems to be pretty thin on the ground in terms of who can hurt Fulham, with Maddison, Kulusevski, Solanke all out.
Yeah, and Solanke never showed it, even when he was there last year.
Interesting, okay.
I mean, how many goals he's got?
Apparently,
I can't quite tell, but apparently he's unbelievable at pressing. That's what I hear. That's why they got him, apparently, but he hasn't scored the goals. He's been injured, obviously, since then, but yeah. I think to list other donkeys, Brennan Johnson, he scores goals. He does end up in the box and taps them in, but when he has the ball at his feet on the wing, he's like a slower Adama Traore, just kind of gets to the end and you can't swear on this, can you? Launches it out for a throw in or something. You're just like, I don't know. He reminds me of playing football. He makes decisions that you wouldn't see in Sunday League, I think. And I'm just like, oh God, I don't know. I'm like, oh, I might have done that if I was there.
Yeah.
And it's the wrong decision, but I might have done it. And you're like, that shouldn't happen.
It's interesting because he's obviously had some like really iconic moments in the Spurs.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
But I agree, like from what I've seen of him, it feels like he lacks attacking instinct.
Yeah, I think he works hard. But that's a pretty, not to be Roy Keane, but like that's the bare minimum. Like, that's his job.
Yeah, I see that. In terms of defensively then, obviously Romero is out for this game, which is a huge boost for Fulham. And also... We're
going to look at it from that angle, I suppose. Yeah, sure, yeah.
That's how I would see it. And obviously a few defensive injuries with Dragusin and Davies and stuff. Are you concerned about the state of the Spurs defence?
Well, who's going to play there? I guess Palhinha is going to drop into centre-back. He did that earlier in the season. I think... I like surprisingly, I think our best defender, not best defender, but the one I like the most is Jed Spence, and he's just surprised me. I like him on the ball, but he does get into trouble. And I think Udogie I thought he was unbelievable when he first came in, and I think he's been injured a little bit, but he can't defend. He cannot defend. Porro, I don't know, I thought he was really great as well. And everyone talks about his delivery, and I don't know. He's just underwhelming to me. I think the 2 starting centre backs, Mickey and Romero, are class. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think now that Romero doesn't get a red card every single game, he's doing quite a good job. Obviously, he's not playing. But yeah, it would be nice to see Palhinha come in and then obviously beat Fulham.
Well, Polini is a player we know very well. It'll be interesting to see the reception that the away fans give him at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because I, for one, will be clapping him.
Really?
He did wonderful things for Fulham, and I have no
That
hard
surprises
feelings.
me, really.
But
Because I feel like you were furious when you found out the news.
I would miss him, and I think he's great. And I think
He is great.
I think I really, whenever I watch him in a Spurs shirt, I feel that sense of, what could have been at Fulham if he'd stayed.
He's a very not Tottenham player, I think. They don't have that kind of, obviously Jose gave that speech about being, some swear words, but being, not nice guys. And it is true that Spurs seem to just have a lot of sort of nice people, but they've got a few guys in the team now, which I like to see that are kind of ruffians. They'll get in there and they'll get stuck in, and they're not just all, Son. I think Son was a bit too much like that. Obviously, he was great for Spurs, but the opposite to Son's attitude. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask also about the mood around Thomas Frank as manager. After the North London derby, I was seeing some rumours that Frank was a bit under pressure, not necessarily from the higher ups, but the fans are saying, I want him gone, I don't like him. It feels incredibly soon at this point in the season, but what do you think? Do you want to see him continue?
No, I want to see him there for like 5 years kind of thing. Because if you didn't give him time, there's no point in bringing him in at all, sort of thing. I think surely after any loss in a North London derby, there'll be someone saying, get him out. But no, I also I just like him. He just seems like, I always liked him at Brentford. He just seems clever. Obviously, what wasn't clever was saying, who's Eze and that kind of thing. But ultimately, I think doesn't actually do anything. That's just crap banter, basically. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's good for a manager to take heat off his players as well.
Sure, you could see it like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously Fulham fans are not fans of Frank because of his time at Brentford. Yeah. And I think, we've made that very clear in the stadiums and stuff. But I am totally with you in terms of giving a manager like him time. I think he lost something like 8 out of his 9 of his first games at Bromby, his job before Brentford, or his job at Brentford, Brentford, something like that. But he always starts quite slowly before he manages to get his ideas into check. Jack, I have one more question before we go. On the preview this season, rather than score predictions, we're doing 100-1 predictions. So we're all giving a wacky prediction. Probably won't happen. If it doesn't, no harm done. But if it does, we'll clip it up, pop it on socials, and look really, really smart. Do you have a 100-1 prediction for me?
I'm going to say, what's 100-1? Is this too likely? Mickey van de Ven to run the field again and score a goal? Was that too soon, or is that too likely?
I don't think that. I think that's bag on for 100-1. Yeah, it would make me feel sick. And I'm going to say, I think there's our old friend Joao Polini is going to help us out a little bit.
Own goal.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, I would
love that, wouldn't you?
I would love it. I would love it. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jack. Where can people find you?
They can check out the Upshot.
Love it. And thank you for watching the preview. We'll be back after the game, me and Sammy, with a quick take, hopefully celebrating 3 points. And until then, come on, you Whites.